Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hiya.
Hi, Penny. Good to meet you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if this all works. It looks a lot easier than what I've been faffing with over the last year.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're getting closer. It's great. So, yeah, well, there's no agenda or anything, as it were. We just tend to come in and chat. You've already had a go at exporting something, Penny, or
Yeah, I just took the sort of default project that it starts with. I just see. So yeah, now I understand that it's like the export that turns it into the journal. I haven't had a go with my own. I've had this morning trying to get something on pip and it's not working. So this has taken longer than expected. So, but yeah, that's my plan for this afternoon, is to have a proper go with one of my manuscripts that's currently just in LaTeX normally. See if I can get it working.
cool.
Hi, Penny.
Yeah.
just playing around with all of that manuscript that you sent through. It's pretty cool stuff.
Did you send that through to on Slack or something? Or?
No, I just sent Penny an email.
All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I guess it's all in LaTeX already, and you I guess you need to pull the content out of there and get it uploaded and stuff. Yeah. Do you have any specific questions, or do you want to demo, or?
I didn't know what this meeting was gonna be. I was just gonna watch, so I have some idea what I need
Cool.
to.
Yeah, that's fine. We tend to make it up every week as we go along. So the agenda, changes and stuff. I guess I tend to I use this paper a lot to test the exports and things, and it's like you're saying, it's right. Once you put your content in there, you can export as many times as you want to the different formats that we're building in as we go. I'm just porting another one at the moment, which is the MDPI journal format, which is very pretty. I think it has margin note as well on this one. And once we get that in, we'll be able to first export to the energies. But I think the MDPI is an open source journal center. They have 394 different journals, all covered by variations of this template.
They're also debatably a predatory publisher, though. It's quite a difficult one.
Yeah. Who are they, the MDPI? Because
at least in my field, they're acting very predatory. They like recruit young scientists for special editions to like get people to write papers saying they'll have fee waivers, then you don't get the fee waiver, and they like kind of they're trying to pretend to be open access, but they're very controversial, is my understanding of them.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, their tagline and all of the stuff on Google, it's all publisher of open access journals. So that's interesting to hear. I've never heard of MDPI before.
No, I don't know what it stands for either. I couldn't find that one.
Multidisciplinary Digital Publishing Institute.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Got a little good multidisciplinary everything.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you mostly publishing, Penny?
Originally for my PhD, I was like doing Elsevier in Nature because that's what we had to do, but I just don't want to do that anymore. I'm not willing to give up my more. So I'm trying to publish open access more now. So I'm writing my current paper is going to Volcanica, which is like the diamond open access journal that you guys have the template for. So yeah.
Cool. And your background is geoscience and volcanic specifically, or you're just
volcanic specifically.
Cool. Well, great. I think we were going to talk about some of the latest stuff we've been doing, but it'd be basically good to have a quick look at how you quickly get some content in. And are your results, do you have a lot of figures? They're all static images, and
I think I would mostly be showing like, because the paper I'm trying to write is like a new Python tool I've developed. So it would be like sections of a Jupyter notebook. Like if you wanted to do this calculation, these are like the 5 steps you do, and this is the figure it would make at the end. And that's sort of how the paper is at the moment. But that's currently just like snipping tooled in from Jupyter Lab.
Right, cool.
With like minted code snippets, but for like whole demonstrations to get them in like a figure format, which the journal want is like snippets with like stuff overlaid and PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, they actually want to. They've asked you for overlays and stuff, or that tends to be the style.
You've asked for what? Sorry.
Sort of overlays on the figures and that sort of annotations. That's something in the journal.
They haven't really asked for anything. I've just based on the one we wrote before, we thought some worked examples like were useful to show in the paper.
Right. Cool. Let me run through a quick thing here then. So
how about Steve, can I grab
you certainly can,
because I actually have Penny's manuscript up in front of me.
oh, well, that's even better. Yeah.
This is like the Kayla and Simon like led this one, and then I'm trying to do another one for a completely separate tool, which is what I want to do with your guys' tool. So this was not the right way to do it. It was just the only way we could come up with doing it.
Yeah, no, and I'm super curious, like what types of things that you like that were extremely hard for you to actually get going, and like I don't know if you have those off the top of your head.
We couldn't find a good way to keep track of references in Jupyter Lab, so we did everything in LaTeX at the end of the day, and then Kayla, poor thing, pasted it all back into the final version of Jupyter, which isn't ideal.
Interesting. So you actually like were manually moving it into LaTeX, and then you manually sort of moved it back into a Jupyter notebook.
Yeah, and we like collaborate on Word docs with like but LaTeX files because we didn't want to pay for overleaf because none of us had any funding at that point. So yeah, it was like it took a long time to do. Yeah,
that's totally fair. Wow. Okay, so I guess like, well, I just opened up this in Binder. This is yours, yeah, Jessica, yeah. And so I guess how I or how to sort of get started. I don't know if you've gone through any of the pieces yet, but this is basically like, so you can choose a project, save the entire notebook to that project, and this just sort of goes through and it saves individual cells to the project that you've created. And then this is, well, obviously a super long notebook with all of the various things in it. And then you can open that up. And then this is like a read-only, like NB viewer style look at your notebook, if that sort of makes sense. And I was just going through because it looks like we're not picking up some of the HTML markup that you've put in there, but we are picking up some of the stuff at least. And so then like once you're in this environment, you can have comments and say like, well, I don't know, simple improvements, at least for how we show it. So like you can actually have the conversation and collaborate on here. And then that's actually linked anywhere that cell shows up. So the comments go back and forth. And that means also I can edit here. And so if I just wanted to change this to actually sort of markup style, I can then hit save on the notebook again. And then this realizes that there's a new version available, and then you can sort of pull from that. Is that starting to sort of make sense on how that goes back and forth?
I would Like if you had like a document that was more of, I mean, we obviously wrote this as a paper in Jupyter because that's what we thought at the time was the right thing to do. How would it work if you had a document that was more like quite a lot of text, but then you wanted to pull like say 5 consecutive cells over and have that as like figure 1 in your mostly like text document rather than just having a load of boxes full of in Jupyter lab, which is what we did.
Yeah, and I think this is, well, I just sent you sort of that question in the email because I think that's sort of like how I've worked in the past, where you have all of your text document, very exciting, over here, and then you want to come over to this. I think somewhere down here there's a figure that's actually from, yeah, this guy. So if I wanted this coming from the Jupyter notebook specifically, such that you can run this, you have a smaller Jupyter notebook that's maybe focused on this output specifically, then I can copy a link to this, come over to this document that I'm writing and just hit Command V, and then that pastes it in. And this again is actually linked.
Is there a way to like paste it in along with the code that was used to generate it, like the whole cell rather than just the output?
I mean, you can copy the link to the cell and paste that in.
And that gives you, oh, okay, yeah, that's brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that would be, yeah, having the ability to sort of pull both of those and treat that as one thing, yeah, would be great, because these can actually potentially get out of sync in this case. Like if you're make a change here and it doesn't necessarily show up here because they're independently versioned, and so that's definitely something that we can improve.
Can you show the import block menu just in case the Control V doesn't work for you? Or
yeah,
you can also do the same thing with this little menu there and just paste the link in. Yeah, and it's doing exactly the same thing. But
this link.
Yeah. So at the moment you like format it like in this view and then you export to PDF, but like particularly with like say Volcanica, it's a double column format journal, which means that their LaTeX template often does a very, very bad job and wants to put all the figures at the end. Is there a way you could like put in the equivalent of like clear pages in LaTeX to be like, I don't care how you build it, but like this figure has to come before this text when you're putting it in? Or would you have to like export to a LaTeX format and then build locally to do that?
I think we don't have full controls over that at that sort of granularity. So it's the clear pages command that you've run into.
Yeah,
mostly.
Because what Volcanica tries to do is it won't ever put a figure and then have 2 blocks of text below. So what the template always does is if you have full page figures, it just puts them all at the end, which is like not ideal. So
right.
I just do like after the figure, I'm just like clear page, and then that makes sure that it puts a page break before it tries to put the next bit of text.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you'd have to do that manually at the moment.
So what would be the workflow to do it manually?
I think if instead of exporting a PDF, you would export a zip file. And then that zip file is going to give you the exact LaTeX project that we use to build the PDF.
And then you build that locally and add the clear command. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not awesome. It's yeah. So this just gives you a zip file.
Cool. We will be able to do something about that.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, this has all of your images in here, and then the actual. I guess we don't actually create the PDF.
Main.text.
Main.text.
Yeah, I can send you the manuscript once I've got it started, just to show that the template problem I've had so far with.
Yeah.
So you would basically want to clear.
Yeah,
just figure here.
Yeah, you do
clear
page. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if my build is actually going to work. That's cool.
Yeah. Could you just tag the abstract block, or the first block was the abstract? So this is one. Do you know we have abstract acknowledgements appendix in the templates? We're doing that at the moment via those things. So you tag the block as abstract, and then that will be put into that section. And we're adding support for more of those and more options as well. So I think at the moment, your key points would be manual too, until we get that changed. And that's maybe one option for the
Super cool.
for the clear page, that we tag a block and then we put a clear page above it if you've added a clear page tag. So you can tell it to do that above a figure.
Yeah, I think having some of the sort of block settings that actually like can insert LaTeX commands depending on the environment that you're targeting. I think we can definitely start putting those sorts of things in.
When are you planning on submission? How far away do you think you are?
I'm going to try something new for this one. So I think what I'm going to do is put it up as a preprint and get the code on pip, and then kind of leave it for 6 months for people to play with the code and then submit it afterwards. So I'd kind of like the manuscript like in a nice format for people to download. But I just think like releasing software tools, it makes more sense to like get a journal DOI once it's more stable. So I kind of want a lot of people to play with it and let me know if there's other features they want me to add. And then if there's like big features, I can like insert another section into the manuscript describing those features rather than like having it published and then people being like, oh, can I have this? Can I have that? So that's
Yeah.
Sure.
my plan
That's
with
totally
this.
fair. Yeah.
Well, yeah. It'll be fully featured in 6 months' time for sure before the time you cut your final one. And until then, it'll be great to, well, we'd love to add stuff based on, you know, anything you find. We'll find a way to do it through the interface and without having to touch LaTeX is the aim. But there's a lot of degrees of freedom.
That's right.
Cool. So what's your software package about, by the way?
Oh, sorry?
What is your software package doing?
Okay, so in like igneous petrology, we have all these things called like thermometers and barometers. The idea is you can measure the chemistry of like crystals and melts and get the pressures and temperatures at which like those crystals form to learn about magma storage. At the moment, it's a mess. They're all in, there's like 10 different Excel files. Some people have like R script, Python, and then some people are like not sharing their code. So like if you want to use their thermometer, you have to put them as a co-author. So I'm just like, I've had enough. So I'm trying to put it all like VitaCal was for volatile solubility, the same again for like modeling of thermobarometry. The idea being everyone is using the same functions because loads of people have errors in their sheet. So yeah, just trying to make it all so it's more reproducible and easier to use. People are doing things like they have 1,000 of one mineral and 100 of the other, and by hand they're like pasting every single match into Excel, which is just like, what are you doing? Trying to make people not do that. Like when I wrote this, PhD students here was like, oh, I spent 3 weeks doing that manually. I was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you just do that? And then they're like, Excel crashes. When you have 300,000 rows, Excel does crash. That is true.
Yeah. Just do it again. Another 3 weeks. Oh my gosh. That's super cool. Yeah, I feel like, well, I was involved in a project that was pretty similar to that in terms of open sourcing a lot of geophysical inversion codes during my PhD and bringing all sorts of methods out into the open. And I think before, well, there were a handful of open source codes, but not in my lab group, and then not, I think, to the quality that we were aiming for, which was, so I don't know. And now it's used all over the place. So I'm really excited for your journey as well.
Cool.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that we can show you, or
can you show me how referencing works?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how?
Cool. So you so I don't know if you've picked that up, but there's sort of these versions of a document, and then to actually start editing, you have to hit the edit button up at the top. And right now, that also applies to each block inside of the document. And so it's blue when it's at a version, and then you sort of have to double click on that, and then it turns yellow, and then you can actually start editing. And so that's a little bit clunky right now, and we're working through improving that. So to actually start adding a reference, you use this / command, and that / command has all sorts of things, and you can just start typing to actually go to the actual command. And so this is add a reference, and this you can look it up from a DOI. I don't know if I actually have your DOI up, but
or you can just drop in a bibtec file, can you already?
Or you can just drop in a bibtec file. So I think I have a bibtec right here. So that just drops in, that processes, and then they come over here, and then you can search through and have a few references, insert those citations. That one still isn't actually working.
And then edit, you know, when you have like in-text versus end-of-text citations, and like different journals have different like cite A, cite T. Do you just remove it? It's clever enough to like push it into the right format for the journal?
Yeah. So how this is working is when you select this actual citation, there's this thing that comes up at the top, and then you can remove that or add it, and then you can just sort of drag into that bracket. And then as you're saying, depending on the template that you're exporting to, we're doing some processing on that side of sort of what you want or what the journal expects.
There's shortcut accelerators as well to put the citation in. So once you've got your references in, then you can look them up just by doing cite
/cite, and then you say LaTeX or something, LaTeX, and then you can just hit enter, and so it keeps it actually like pretty fast. I was playing around with Word the other day, and I feel like it's horrendous. even with all of the various things. Maybe that's not fair to say, but it's nice when you have something that actually is designed to do this.
And then is there a way to like bits of the Jupyter notebook, would you just annotate like lines with comments? Would that be the way to do it? You're not like writing on top in any other way. You like it just copies. So you do like a normal comment to explain what you're doing in that cell, would you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think yes, seeing what you were showing, we certainly don't have that sort of support. I guess like the closest might be just like either writing comments inside of this.
I guess,
yeah, exactly. Which
I think that's probably fine,
nicest.
But if they're learning Python, that's what they should be doing anyway, I guess. So it's probably better to keep it that way.
What's coming soon is captions. So there's two types of ways to get images in. You can just drag and drop images in from your computer, and then they become figures in LaTeX, and you can add numbering and captions. It's the same with Jupyter in terms of the output cells that come from Jupyter are figures in the LaTeX, but the captions on the numbering aren't there yet. We're probably a week or so away from that. Or maybe, we're going to do that soon. But for images, all the numbering is hooked up and the referencing like so.
Can you have figures that don't have a number, like you would in LaTeX, just by doing the like figure star?
Yeah, you just hit that to do the figure.
We do number. Yeah, we do numbering up here, and then LaTeX will do its numbering as you would normally. Yeah.
They should be.
At the moment you said minted isn't working. I guess arguably you don't need minted because you just copy a cell over instead. Would that be the idea?
Yeah. I think there's going to be a user option, but at the moment it'll come out as verbatim. I did have minted working, probably. So we'll put that back on, and I think I'm going to look at listings as well for another environment. But we'll switch the minted back on soon.
I think like similar to your experience with minted is like it doesn't always work nicely.
No, it doesn't. I guess the advantage of minted over like pulling a whole cell is again for these stupid double column journals, in that like if it's minted, it will put the code snippet in one column. Whereas if you insert a cell, I'm guessing visuals always make code cells full width rather than half width.
I think, I don't know, a verbatim environment might still go in within a column.
When you include, like, for when I include like v.calib_plot, if I had a double column format, would that like half that, or would it try and put it as a full width thing?
At the moment, everything's coming in the column,
Okay.
not as a full width.
So we'll break it up. Okay. And can you overwrite that and say, actually, this figure needs to be full width so it can be seen?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we've got it on a card. we've got that one on our list. So yeah. So the highlighting will come back in, and then I think the full width, because it's just changing one LaTeX command about how we set the width. Well, I was thinking we might put that in again as a block tag. So while you're up in Curvenote here, you go to that figure, go into block settings like we did for abstract, and just say full width. So that will be coming.
So this one at least does put the verbatim code piece
And that's
in one column.
Yeah, because what I want to do with the
sorry, I was just going to say, will you color, this sounds really pathetic, but will you color them like colored, like minted can? Like, I want my code snippets to be gray.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah.
That's when minted comes back, or listings comes back, and then you can have your like code highlighting and syntax.
So generally, whenever you pull a cell over from Jupyter Lab, it won't like outline the cell at the moment. It just keeps it white, like in this example.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the only way you can tell it's from Jupyter Lab is the font, I guess, for people that don't know Python necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do we have that different in our template?
I don't have a look. I think ours might come with borders.
Yeah, because I think that's a good point. Come on.
That'll be the running of minted. It takes longer.
No, okay.
No, but minted's off at the moment.
Yeah. Turn that off.
Yeah, I don't have an old report handy.
It would
But
be nice
yes,
to like, be able to see more visually what has come from Jupyter
Totally.
Lab than just text.
Yeah.
on the figure as well as the
The code
font,
snippet
the
in
code.
particular, the v.calib,
Yeah.
it would be nice to know that I haven't just like typed there as like a different font, I guess.
Yeah. Because what I had on the list was to get verbatim environments to be the code slightly smaller, but also put line numbers on them. And then
That would be so good to have line numbers on them.
Yeah, and then re-establish the minted, which gives us a color background, syntax highlighting, and line numbers. I'll see if we can get that back in for next week.
That's super cool.
Cool. Because I guess that this is with the journals, there's so many options because you've got the options that the journals provide, but then there's a set of options around, right, how do you want to translate what you see here into what the journal expects? And we haven't exposed that on the user interface yet, but we expect to put another user interface in where you can just go through and tick things like this to say, oh, I want my code just plain or verbatim with line numbers or minted, etc., and have some customization options over that.
Something else I had to do for Minted, I can't remember what the name of the file was I had to make, was like make my own, like basically I had to edit the NumPy like keywords so that my functions highlighted, because otherwise in LaTeX they weren't highlighting as colored. So I just lied and told them they were NumPy functions, which is obviously not the right way to do it. But like to edit Minted because otherwise it actually wasn't coloring my functions at all. It was just putting them as like black text, which was kind of annoying. But so I don't know if you'd customize that here because you're not really seeing the LaTeX source files, I guess. But
that's to choose the language that it comes out in, and is syntax highlighting. Is that what you were?
Yeah, so I like had Python, and I had like the minted set up for like Jupyter Lab, but because my functions weren't being recognized as anything, so it wasn't like color. So when I pulled cells over from, I guess because I was screenshotting cells, they were coloring like Jupyter Lab, and I wanted, when I mentioned the functions, them also to be like blue in my text, if that makes sense. But I guess now, because it's pulling these over without highlighting, isn't it? You're not doing the coloring when you pull from Jupyter Lab.
Yeah, we
are doing some. In Minted, we were doing some, but whether we'll keep the same style as Jupyter Lab does, because basically then we'd have to follow exactly, or at least similar to the code mirror syntax highlighting. I think we can, but you can define the styles. I'm going to write a card for it. I think we can do it. We can probably do something about that.
I mean, again, it's probably not critical. I just kind of like the Jupyter Lab coloring, but that might just be like trying to make my life difficult with.
Yeah, because it doesn't need to know anything about NumPy. I mean, the Python one should do it because it can recognize what's a function call.
I think so. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this was just a hack I found on Stack Exchange. It really wasn't the right way to do it, but it was the only way I could do this.
I'm writing it down.
If there's.
Did you install the Chrome extension, by the way, which was the first thing Rowan showed?
I haven't done that yet. Again.
So you sort of missed that. Okay, fine.
I haven't really. Yeah, the fact that I was just GitHub Actions went down yesterday, and it just totally screwed me up. So I'm sorted now. It's back on. But yeah.
So yeah, the Chrome extension gives these buttons basically anywhere it finds a Jupyter environment. So the versioning, the commenting, the collaboration, and then it just sort of annotates your notebook, and then you can save to your project.
Like with this one, for example, like cell 3, will it save that output as well? So you can be like, this is the table it returns.
Yes. So I can.
So again, you can copy that.
Copy a link to it. Come in.
So you can do all of those outputs.
Yeah, exactly, and then just paste it in again, and then you have your interactive table. And it says.
Oh yeah, how does that happen when you convert that to?
I have no idea. What happens, Steve?
So LaTeX.
Yeah.
Currently, it's just coming as plain text. But I'm going to say again, soon it will come as a proper table. Because what I've figured out was pandas can actually read any table. You can give it HTML you've scraped from the web. It will change anything into a data frame. And pandas can export LaTeX. So what we're going to do is we're going to put pandas in, use pandas to get a LaTeX table out. So it's doable, but we just haven't put it in yet.
Right, yeah,
so that's currently just.
Oh yeah, okay. So at the moment it doesn't look great in that. Yeah, okay.
But it will be a table soon.
Would it be possible to like, although I don't know, to just like export, like keep it as kind of like a JPEG-ish type thing, just to like keep so it looks exactly like it will in Jupyter? Do you think you'll be able to get like that coloring and that formatting, or do you think it will still look different once you've exported it to tech? Just because often like the journal table templates look really weird, and someone looking at it wouldn't like immediately think like that's Jupyter candidate thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do feel like keeping tabular data and just improving the formatting, or having some formatting that looks, I suppose, maybe like the Jupyter table, at least to start with, because I think it's especially nice to at least be able to select the text inside of, instead of having it be an image. So one of the things on that side though is because we're sort of targeting the web as a first class environment. A lot of the, like, I don't know if you use Plotly or Bokeh or Altair, or if you're mostly in Matplotlib lands, but it allows you to have other types of figures, like 3D information that you can
Maps.
actually embed, maps, and then also having some interactivity that's also embedded directly in that, so that when you're hopefully in a future where Curvenote can be a bit of a preprint server, you can host this as an interactive article that's sort of linked to your notebook and your data sources and that sort of thing.
Do you see it as like a way we could store our documentation as well as like a manual? Is that something in terms of
Using like Sphinx and stuff, or would it? Because like that's not so interactive, is it? When you have like your read the docs at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're like sort of traveling alongside that. I think for documentation, Sphinx has a lot of different pieces that sort of like reach in and introspect your Python package and then give you auto docs for that. And that's likely not where we're going to be going. What we are working on is with another project called the Executable Books project, which is sort of a subset of the Jupyter community, is the same syntax, which is called MIST, markdownedly structured text or something like that, which is sort of like RST, but with a bit more of a markdown syntax. And so that's sort of where the overlap will be. So allowing you to write hopefully in a writing environment and then exporting that to be used in your documentation that's hosted somewhere else. Yeah, and then you can obviously copy a link to anything and then come back into your document anywhere and actually paste it in. And that remains interactive in 3D, which is nice and fun.
Such a shame you have all of this and the journal want a bloody PDF. That's the biggest problem with all of this, isn't it? It's like they just need to do away with their templates and let people do what they want. But
yeah, I think at least my philosophy is that like Curvenote sort of exists so that you as an author can do both at the same time, and then you can start playing a new game, but still satisfying the journal and the DOI and publishing in that way. And then like how you're actually communicating is on GitHub and Twitter and Curvenote and all of these different forums that are actually good for communication, rather than sort of downloading a 2-column PDF on your phone and just giving up.
Where will you put your preprint, by the way?
Earth Archive.
And
It's like our
okay.
community. What?
Yeah.
It's really good. So.
Yeah,
I added a couple of templates with them in mind. A single column and a 2-column. So they're in there too. You can export to that. The only benefit for that at the moment is it says a preprint. It has their text in the header, saying that this is a non-peer-reviewed Earth Archive preprint and etc.
I mean, you need that anyway, because otherwise they reject it when you upload it. So that's yeah. Cool. This has been really useful to see. I've got to run to another meeting now, but I'm definitely gonna have a play with this.
Yeah, no, it was fun to have you drop by.
Yeah, and this is such a cool tool. So thanks for developing it.
Yeah,
cool.
Hope to see you around the place as well.
Yeah.
See ya.
Cool. All the best.
Yeah, right.
Bye-bye. That's super fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I was playing around with her manuscript like right before the call, and there's a lot in there, like just small stuff that we need to be better at, like more robust in handling the import for. Like a lot of people in Jupyter notebooks are using a lot of HTML interspersed with their markdown, and right now we're not handling that well. But anyways, it's pretty cool.
I feel like we're close to supporting a whole bunch of stuff. That was just, yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's really doable. It's just now, it's, yeah. You can't just do it all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that last mile. Super fun. I don't know, Liz, if you had anything.
Not much this week. Yeah, I don't know. I found the when you create a new project, the nice little pop-up that says create a article or something. So that was nice. Features I haven't seen in a while. So I'm like, oh, I never do that anymore. So I don't know. That was just something I discovered today. It's like, cool.
Little teensy tiny things.
Yep. It's good.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. New mini paper.
That's just, yeah. But then we've got the whole new, you've seen this new thing, Liz, yeah, already. Where there's no more project page and you just go there and it takes you straight to the thing. Yeah, which is good.
Have you noticed that at all? Or is it just like how you wanted it to work?
Like, what do you mean?
Did
Well,
you notice
I don't
it
know.
changed much? Or?
Yeah, as soon as I was introduced, I just like, because anytime I was like clicking on a project, I'd have like all of the thumbnails show up and most of them wouldn't have thumbnails, and then I would have to like scroll down to the end and then click the thing, and this just seems like a much.
Yeah, like I definitely just prefer there's a list, especially given that the list is in order and it's what you want to see. And if you really need to figure out what it is, obviously you can scroll over them. So it's better than, yeah, having all the thumbnails and trying to be like, where was that one article? Yeah, that doesn't have a thumbnail that I don't remember, but I was working in it. So,
Yeah. Where are we going to set the thumbnails? Is there a more convenient place? I guess, well, you've still got for the box settings and that doesn't require it. Yeah.
I mean, are they really necessary given that you're going to see them when you hover over it? Like, is it necessary to put them anywhere else?
I don't know if you wanted like a settings thing in here where you go in, I don't know, or a hint that you might want to add one.
Oh,
I think we should have better auto thumbnail.
Oh, that would be, yeah.
And then, because like we should be able to go in there and pick the first image and have that come up.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good stop, or like, well, it then will more often show you a thumbnail, and then you might discover that you want to change it, and then you go into block settings, and I think that's probably fine.
That's a much better change.
Yeah, I guess it would still make it so that you could delete it just in case people are like really adamant about not having it. I don't know. If for some reason they're just like, I don't want a thumbnail, I just want the title.
Yeah.
Give everybody all the options.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a little demo one or just pulling something in would be good.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I thought that it made the app feel smaller or a bit, but then in a good way, because I was always clicking through that page.
Yeah.
Always clicking through it. So. Yeah. Great. Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else to note? Was there this week? I don't know. A lot.
I'm excited for the new onboarding stuff that Yushi's working on for project creation and just like giving people some more hints to get started.
Yeah. Yeah, and make it easier. That should come out in a couple of. Oh, we don't have it on here. That's okay though.
Yeah. Super awesome.
Cool.
Cool.
Nice. Well, let's leave it there.
Yeah.
And
All right.
catch you next time.
Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah.